It's so funny how Trump thinks he can do whatever he wants, especially when it comes to having a trial and stuff, and thinks he gets to decide when he has to go to court. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Former President Donald Trump has held his first political event since surrendering to authorities in Georgia last week. He's charged with illegally trying to overturn the 2020 election in the state.
The former president had rallies via telephone last night to build support in both New Hampshire and Iowa. The Trump campaign says nearly 50,000 participants joined the New Hampshire tele-rally. There's a word I didn't know we were using in the campaign trail. It says more than 100,000 supporters were on the Iowa call.
These rallies also took place only.
Yeah, it's funny how he's now doing all his campaigning or a lot of his campaigning via these tele-rallies. Like, dude, you know you're screwed.
Hours after a judge in Washington set a trial date for the election interference case brought forward by the Justice Department. It is scheduled to begin on March 4th of next year. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane has been following every one of those cases and developments.
At all hours, no matter what time you ask him a question.
Absolutely, reporting for us for every platform and still finding time to tweet. So, Scott, where you live outside of the Washington Federal Courthouse, where the D.C. election interference case is set to kick off in March. Talk to us about, what is going on. Yesterday, Trump posted on social media that he will appeal the case. This case is, or at least not the case's trial date. We don't know what the outcome of the case will be. Is it possible to appeal the date? What strategies could he be using to do this?
There's so many uncertainties ahead, Lily and Christina. Let's start off with what we know. The judge has set this trial date for the first Monday in March, which happens to be the day before Super Tuesday. It'll be inside this courthouse, likely on the fourth floor. And Donald Trump, no matter what he posts on social media, cannot appeal the trial date. He cannot appeal and change the judge. He cannot stop the trajectory this case is generally on towards a trial early next year. He will try to change the venue. He'll file a motion to move this case out of Washington, D.C., somewhere where there's a different jury pool, somewhere where there may be not only a different judge, but potentially a different set of procedures and pace. But 0% of the change of venue requests filed in any January 6th case so far has succeeded. 0%. It's not.
Good. Yeah, they shouldn't let these people change where they go to court because they did it at in the Capitol. So that's wherever court uh gets to charge them. It's funny how these people think they get to control the justice system now that they're the ones in trouble.
Not a typo. He will file a motion to seek the case be tossed as a selective political prosecution, arguing that this was a Biden administration motivated prosecution. Unlikely.
I mean, anybody can say that. Any right winger can, using Trump's logic, be like, "Oh, because the administration is Democrat and I'm a Republican, being arrested and charged is, a political attack," which is not. These people are so stupid.
That motion's going to get very far in this courthouse. And what's more, potentially the most provocative thing he's going to do is file an executive immunity motion. His defense attorney alluded to that yesterday in court. And that could be on a fast track to the Supreme Court, arguing that he was the president of the United States at the time of this crime, this alleged crime, and that might change the legal future of the prosecution. There'll be challenges. He can't change the trial date by appealing, and he can't change the judge by appealing.
Scott, is there any precedent for an executive immunity argument in a criminal proceeding? Has this ever happened before? Do we have any idea how this will turn out?
It's interesting you asked that question because we have renamed the Washington, D.C. federal courthouse the Hall of the Unprecedented, where so much in this case is happening in a way that is novel and never happened before. That is quite an argument to make, a distinctive argument, to put it mildly.
That you're going to get, that if you're in office, you can have carte blanche to do whatever you think is right because you're president, right? So I didn't mean to step on you there, but.
I mean, basically, for the most part, that is the power of a president. That's why they can't be charged, well, as a president. But yeah, there are some things where you can't do as a president, and you will be tried after your presidency. Though we do need to change the precedent of not charging a sitting president with crimes, because if you're committing crimes as a president, well, then you're not fit to be president.
Now let's.
It could head in that direction.
Stop. That's it. Talk to us about the Georgia case. Ray Smith, who is a former lawyer for the Trump campaign, he's the first of the 19 defendants that are charged in that Fulton County election case to enter a not plea. He did so wavering
A not guilty plea.
Not guilty plea, waiving his arraignment. Is this an option for Trump and the other defendants? What would they gain by doing so if they enter their not guilty plea before their arraignment date, which, as I understand, is scheduled for September 6th?
We know Donald Trump has done this before. He did not attend his second arraignment in Miami in that federal case. There was a superseding indictment, a new indictment handed down after the first one. He needn't attend the arraignment the second time in Miami. He could exercise that same right in Fulton County and not attend the arraignment in person. It spares him the photo op. He may not be able to control the optics of walking into a courthouse, so perhaps he tries to avoid that to avoid bad optics. But what's more, it's a bit of a burden on the courthouse, on the police, on the former president's staff when he goes to a courthouse. And him skipping that appearance may be beneficial to those who have no relation or thoughts about his case. It's just a big footprint that's taken off the courthouse when he doesn't go.
They should just put out an arrest warrant for Trump and hold him until his trials. Like, because that's all he deserves.